Welcome to the Platform Podcast, and today we're diving into a case that has captured headlines in Kenya, the United Kingdom, and beyond: the extradition question in the murder of Agnes Wanjiru. Agnes was a young Kenyan woman brutally killed in 2012. Her body was discovered in a septic tank near a British Army training camp in Nanyuki, central Kenya. For years, her case has been a haunting reminder of impunity and unanswered questions, especially involving foreign soldiers stationed on Kenyan soil. Now, 13 years later, Kenya has issued an arrest warrant for former British soldier Robert James Parkes, accused of her murder. The question is, will justice finally be served? And what does this mean for Kenya's legal system, its relationship with the UK, and the fight for human rights?
To understand the magnitude of this extradition battle, we need to revisit the facts. In 2012, Agnes Wanjiru, a 21-year-old mother, was last seen with British soldiers at a local hotel. Weeks later, her body was discovered in a septic tank. Investigations stalled for years. Witnesses pointed fingers at British servicemen, but the case languished, clouded by silence and diplomacy. Families cried for justice, activists demanded accountability, and yet no one was prosecuted. It wasn't until sustained public pressure, both in Kenya and the UK, that the case was revived. Now, with Kenya issuing a formal arrest warrant, the legal machinery is turning. But that's only half the story. The other half lies in extradition.
So what exactly is extradition? In simple terms, it's the formal process where one country asks another to hand over an accused person to face trial. Sounds straightforward, but in reality, it's loaded with politics, law, and diplomacy. Kenya has officially requested the UK to extradite Parkes, but here's the catch. Extradition requires both legal agreements and political goodwill. The UK must review the Kenyan request under its own extradition laws, balancing due process, human rights considerations, and diplomatic relations. On paper, Kenya and the UK have a long-standing legal cooperation framework. But practically, cases involving foreign soldiers and alleged crimes committed overseas are notoriously slow, sometimes even blocked.
Let's dig deeper. From a legal perspective, Kenya has shown assertiveness by issuing the arrest warrant. It signals that the judiciary is no longer willing to allow this case to remain in limbo. The warrant also strengthens Kenya's moral and legal standing when demanding cooperation from the UK. From a human rights perspective, the case is pivotal. Agnes Wanjiru was not just another victim. She represents countless vulnerable women who interact with foreign soldiers, migrant workers, or expatriates and often lack access to justice when crimes occur. By pursuing extradition, Kenya is affirming that Agnes's life mattered and that the state owes her family accountability. But critics raise concerns. Will the UK drag its feet? Will Agnes's family endure more years of waiting? And is Kenya ready to pursue the trial with the seriousness and independence it demands, free from political pressure?
Now, let's shift to security. The British Army has a long training presence in Kenya under the British Army Training Unit Kenya, commonly called BATUK. This partnership is economically and strategically important. Thousands of British soldiers train in Kenya annually, and the arrangement provides jobs, infrastructure, and diplomatic benefits. But this case raises a hard question. What happens when foreign soldiers, guests on Kenyan soil, commit crimes? Does Kenya have full jurisdiction, or do military agreements shield them? By pressing for extradition, Kenya is essentially saying, our sovereignty matters. Our people deserve justice even if the accused wears a foreign uniform. But this security relationship between the two nations complicates things. Some fear that insisting on extradition could strain diplomatic ties, while others argue that true partnership requires accountability, not cover-ups.
Beyond the courts and government, let's talk about society. For ordinary Kenyans, especially women in communities near military camps, this case is deeply personal. It highlights issues of vulnerability, exploitation, and the imbalance of power between foreign soldiers and local women. Agnes's family has waited over a decade. Her daughter has grown up without a mother. civil society groups have rallied around the case not just as a legal battle, but as a fight against systemic injustice. Many Kenyans view this extradition battle as a litmus test. Can the state truly stand up for its citizens? Will the justice system prioritize human dignity over political convenience? And most importantly, will Agnes finally rest in peace with justice served?
So, what lies ahead? The ball is now in the UK's court. The British judiciary must decide whether to honor Kenya's request and extradite Robert Parkes. This involves hearings, reviews, and potentially appeals. Even if approved, the process could take months or years. Meanwhile, Kenya's legal team must prepare its case, ensuring that once Parkes is extradited, the trial is airtight, credible, and transparent. Any missteps could not only undermine the case, but also weaken Kenya's stance in future international legal matters.
The Agnes Wanjiru case is more than a legal file. It's a story of a young woman whose life was cut short, a family's decade-long search for justice, and a country's struggle to assert sovereignty in the face of global power dynamics. As we wait for the UK's decision, one truth remains. Justice delayed has already been justice denied for far too long. But with this extradition request, Kenya has taken a bold step, signaling that even powerful partners must answer to the rule of law. For Kenyans, this is not just about Agnes Wanjiru. It's about reclaiming dignity, protecting human rights, and ensuring that no one, no matter their nationality, is above the law.
That's all for today's episode. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the intersections of law, human rights, security, and society in Kenya and beyond. Thank you for watching. If our video resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing to stay updated. Join our community in the comments to share your insights and foster discussions that drive positive change. See you next time.